Sindiso Khumalo is a sustainable textile designer based in Cape Town, South Africa. She founded her eponymous label in 2015 with a passion to create modern sustainable clothing with an emphasis on African storytelling. Welcome to the Loft, Sindiso.
Thank you for having me.
What an astonishing resume you have. From working for Sir David Adjaye to, of course, doing your master's at St. Martin's. We want to know from you, though, where did your love for fashion begin?
I think it began with definitely like my mother and my grandmother. My grandmother was a pattern cutter. And so she made all of my mum and my uncles and aunties' clothing. And so I used to always go into the trunks and pull out all these amazing finds that she used to make. And then my mum also did her own sewing. So yeah, definitely from a very young age. I think I was 12 when I sewed my first pair of shorts from an old like Burda pattern. And I never really, I think in those days we didn't have like social media or anything, so I didn't actually think it could be a career. It was always a hobby. It was always something I enjoyed to do, but it was never anything I even dreamed could be a career.
Girlfriend, from your mom to your grandmother, I mean, speaking about the makers in your life, your designs are inspired by your heritage. Talk us through that.
So yeah, from the very beginning of starting the brand, it was very important to me to be able to tell a story as a Black African woman and to really try and bring our heritage as something, as a, commercially viable luxury product. And over time of history, I did art history at school. You read about all of these artists and designers who've been inspired by African culture, so to speak. But I feel like when you do it yourself, there's almost like a real kind of deep authenticity because it's really, things that come from my own experience. My first collection was inspired by my wedding. I had a Zulu wedding in Durban, traditional Zulu wedding. This coat is, inspired by my heritage again. So I feel like there's a real kind of authenticity when it comes from the actual continent. And also I think it's kind of, it's like that saying, Africa, your time is now. It's very much, I feel like that's what my work is trying to speak to.
You recently became a recipient for the LVMH Prize Fund, and you were a finalist in the LVMH Prize, of which the prize was split between all 8 finalists. Let's take a look.
I love your prints. Where do they come from, or how do you...
the French have those toiles, those kind of beautiful toile wallpapers, so it's like a African version of that. So like
my mom's Dutch, and this reminds me of like the Dutch blue and white.
Yes,
yeah, I love
that's exactly where I was going.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed with it. That's so beautiful. It's amazing. Nice to meet you. I really appreciate it.
Shine, Khumalo, that was such an incredible look into your life. Please may you speak to us about what that experience was like.
It was definitely one of the most life-changing experiences. I flew to Paris in February, and it was 2 days of being interviewed by everybody from Anna Wintour to Edward Enninfeld to Gigi Hadid. And yeah, it was just like a huge kind of platform. And, being sure, I was so happy and grateful to be shortlisted, but to make it to the final and be selected by all of those, sort of industry players was a real huge blessing. I feel so humbled by it. And I also feel humbled by the fact because I feel like it also then reiterates that the stories that we're telling right now as African designers are relevant and they're important to tell. And yeah, no, so it's been amazing. It was an amazing experience, definitely life-changing, and I'm very, very grateful for it.
Not only are you a brilliant designer, telling amazing African stories through your designs, but you're also a mom. So we want you to share your real-life mom experiences where you've had to balance life and your career.
Yeah, it's definitely been quite an interesting kind of, juggling of the 2 roles. I always say to people, my most important job is being a mom, and then my second most important job is being a designer. So those are my 2 most important jobs in the world. And it really means so much to me to be able to share these experiences with my children. So I take them to all the fashion weeks. I took my son to Dubai when I did a big presentation there, and I took my son and my daughter and my mum to Milan Fashion Week. Like the last 3 years, we've been doing it together every single time. And it's this kind of like a one end there I am presenting to all these journalists and fashion buyers, and then kind of during the lunch break, run out to the Airbnb, give my daughter a breastfeed, run back, So it's definitely like juggling, but it's so fun. And I just feel like really if you can as a mom bring your children into your work and your passions, I think you can only just inspire them also to think that there are no boundaries to what they can do.
They see mommy doing it and they're like, surely this incredible role model, I can do it too. And speaking about being a role model and setting the example, please talk to us about your lockdown experience and how you're working on a project that is giving back to the most vulnerable communities in our country.
Yes, so lockdown's been quite intense because obviously in lockdown we all found out that we were all recipients of the LVMH prize fund. So there was celebration, but then you couldn't go out and buy any bubbly. So it was a very strange experience of celebrating, but then only celebrating with my husband. But no, it's been, and my kids, but it's been quite an intense experience. But I also think it's definitely made me, I think the first thing I thought is what happens after lockdown? What's the most important thing? We all need to be wearing masks. I can make masks. So I was really wanting to do something that I knew I could do. So I partnered up with one of my really good friends, Katrina, and she works in fashion PR. And we've basically been doing this charity drive, basically called Masking a Community. It's a GoFundMe, and it's on my Instagram if you want to go and donate. And so far, we've raised £3,000, and we're just keeping going, and we're just trying to mask as many people in the township of Inzamir, which is in Halpe, and get as many people wearing masks and really protecting them, because fundamentally this COVID reality, it may not affect you, the young people, but I'm conscious of our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and fathers, and keeping those people alive and keeping them safe. And so, my pledge is that everyone, if you can do anything, share a mask with somebody else. Not share your own mask, but donate masks as many as you can, because the more people we can get wearing masks, the safer our communities will be.
Well, thank you so much, Sindiso, for giving back to this incredible cause. And if you want to get stuck in and also help out, don't only go over to Sindiso's Instagram page, but head over to Afternoon Express's website, afternoonexpress.co.za, and you can find out how you can give back, whether it is money or whether it is a physical mask, to those that are in need. Thank you so much for joining Afternoon Express, Sindiso, and all the best with your textile work.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Now, there you have it, Mzansi, a South African doing incredible things. It is Sindiso Khumalo showing that whether the work stops in South Africa or is taken abroad, we are all in this together, giving back in vulnerable communities.